Welcome back to Explain America. This is your host, Kyle Becker. One of the top Democratic senators who has been caught red-handed fomenting sedition in the ranks, he is lashing out over threats to drag him in front of a military court and have him explain himself. He is melting down, and it is quite a sight to behold. But before we get into this story, please like, share, and comment at Explain America. We appreciate your support for common sense journalism. Now, one of the two senators that was involved in that scandalous video that called on military members and intelligence community members to disobey unspecified, unlawful orders, well, he is furious because, well, accountability may be coming for him. That would be Senator Mark Kelly. He is a Navy veteran, and he is making sure everybody knows that. But the problem for Senator Kelly is that you are not exempt from the Uniform Code of Military Justice just because you're a senator. That's because in the UCMJ, it stipulates that just because you're retired from the military doesn't mean you're exempt from its laws. Now, the Department of War issued a statement, and it said, quote, "The Department of War reminds all individuals that military retirees remain subject to the UCMJ for applicable offenses, and federal laws such as 18 U.S.C. Section 2387 prohibit actions intended to interfere with the loyalty, morale, or good order and discipline of the armed forces. Any violations will be addressed through appropriate channels," unquote. Now, I think that is crystal clear, and the senators and the Congress members who issued that video, well, if you were in the U.S. military, this quite clearly could apply to your case. Now, the statement goes on, quote, "All service members are reminded that they have a legal obligation under the UCMJ to obey lawful orders, and that orders are presumed to be lawful. A service member's personal philosophy does not justify or excuse the disobedience of an otherwise lawful order," the Pentagon said. Now, Senator Kelly, he tried to squirm out of this, and he said he learned about the Department of War's probe on social media. And of course, like any Democrat, he says he won't be intimidated. He said, and I quote, "If this is meant to intimidate me and other members of Congress from doing our jobs," that's what he said, "and holding this administration accountable, it won't work," unquote. Well, it's not your job to stew up sedition in the U.S. military or in the intelligence community. I'm not sure that you saw that in your job description, so we don't know what you're talking about, Senator Kelly. But he had no problem polishing off his brass, acting like he's some respectable member of the military and that he is allowed or given a free pass to undermine morale and loyalty to the U.S. government, including the commander-in-chief, who sits at the top of the chain of command. Now, this is the full statement from Mark Kelly. He said, quote, "When I was 22 years old, I commissioned as an ensign in the United States Navy and swore an oath to the Constitution. I upheld that oath through flight school, multiple deployments on the USS Midway, 39 combat missions in Operation Desert Storm, test pilot school, 4 space shuttle flights at NASA, and every day since I retired, which I did after my wife Gabby was shot in the head while serving her constituents. In combat," he continues, "I had a missile blow up next to my jet and flew through anti-aircraft fire to drop bombs on enemy targets. At NASA, I launched on a rocket, commanded the space shuttle, and was part of the recovery mission that brought home the bodies of my astronaut classmates who died on Columbia. I did all of this in service to this country that I love and has given me so much," unquote. That is all well and good, Senator Kelly. That does not give you the right to undermine the loyalty of our military members or to violate the Uniform Code of Military Justice. And I just read to you the provision there. It appears to me that you are in conflict with it, and you may have to explain yourself in front of a military court. So you will be afforded the right to do so, and I suggest that you lawyer up. Well, Secretary Hegseth's tweet is the first he heard of this, that Kelly claims, and he also said that the president's post saying I should be arrested, hanged, and put to death, that's not what he said. He's also lying. Trump said sedition is punishable by death. Of course, this is determined in a court of law, and Senator Kelly knows that. So once again, he's lying to the American people, and he's trying to divide us according to false premises. And of course, he said, if this is meant to intimidate me and other members of Congress from doing our jobs and holding this administration accountable, it won't work. I've given too much to this country to be silenced by bullies. I mean, this is straight Democrat talking points who care more about their own power than protecting the Constitution. Well, let me tell you something about this bully. The bully is the duly elected commander-in-chief of the armed forces. That's right. A majority of the American electorate in something we call democracy put the president in charge of the military. That includes every swing state. So we're talking about the majority of the American people who came out and vote. And under the Constitution, Trump is the commander-in-chief. Not you, not the senators, and you don't have the right to undermine loyalty in the ranks, particularly if you're a retired military member. So we look forward to seeing you tried for this alleged crime against the American people. And we look forward to more of your meltdowns, because I don't think you're helping your case any. But weigh in with your own thoughts.
I want to pick up where we left off on this topic of political violence. I know your family has suffered because of it very, very directly. And then this past week, the president called that video you participated in sedition. You heard me read what he said again this morning. Sedition at the highest level and a major crime. Do you have credible threats? How concerned are you about your security at this point?
Well, Margaret, what the president said is very serious. I didn't think he would step over that line, calling for the execution of members of Congress. And his words carry tremendous weight, more so than anybody else in the country, and he should be aware of that. And because of what he says, there is now an increased threats against us. I'm not going to get into, details on my personal security, but as the husband of Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, I understand what political violence is. The president should as well. Just like Gabby, somebody tried to assassinate him, and he should understand that his words could have serious, serious consequences.